Alright, so it looks like we're on because last time we had a bit of an issue with that, but looks like we should be okay this time. So, as you guys probably know, we missed the last week and we missed the first game this week in terms of actually being able to predict it. Bengals versus the Browns this week. I knew the Browns would probably win this game, and they did. I could talk about that a little bit. So I feel like this game was... It ended the way that I feel like I thought it would. But I can't prove that because I didn't make a prediction on it. But we're here to make predictions on all the other games. I just like to say that I feel like Joe Burrow looks really good. I feel like the Bengals are better with him than they were with Andy Dalton. Baker Mayfield's not as good as Joe Burrow. The Browns are just overall a better team. Baker Mayfield continues to show us that he's not that great. The Browns should have won this by a lot more than 5 points, but that's all I gotta say about that. On to the next game. So we have Jaguars at the Titans. With the way that the Jags played last week and the way that the Titans played last week, I'm tempted to say that I feel like the Jags are going to win. But since the Titans are playing at home, I'm probably going to have to go with the Titans. I just feel like the Titans are an overall better team. Hopefully their kicking issues do not occur this week. Gardner Minshew looks like he picked up just where he left off last year. Except for this time, everyone seems to be pretty damn healthy, which is a good thing for the Jags. But I feel like them stopping Derrick Henry is going to be a bit of a problem. So we'll see what happens with that. I feel like saying it's going to be even something maybe like 24-21. Pretty close. If the Titans can get their kicking game under control, they should be able to win. Buccaneers, Panthers. So, to, I guess, my surprise, Tom Brady did terribly in week 1. Some people would say that he didn't, but I look at his numbers and I'm like, this ain't the Tom Brady we used to know. So, with that being said, I still think the Buccaneers are going to win this week. I mean, they played the Saints last week. That's a tough matchup regardless for any team, realistically. I think the Buccaneers are going to win, but I don't think they're going to score a whole lot of points. But the problem is they're going to have to score a whole lot of points. And that's the issue, is that Tom Brady is now playing against teams in his own division that he has to play against twice a year that are a lot better than the teams that he's used to playing in his own division. And he's going to find out the NFC South is a whole different ball game from the AFC East. The AFC East is still some garbage. And the NFC South, when they're playing the worst team in the NFC South based on what I saw this past week. And I don't know. I don't know if the Bucs can actually do it or not, but they are at home. So I'll give them a slight edge. They're probably going to have to score at least 28 points to win. Because Teddy Bridgewater ain't that, and Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the NFL. I'm going to give them exactly 28. 28-24. I don't see the Panthers winning, but if the Buccaneers lose this one, I'm going to really start doubting. If the Buccaneers lose this one. If the Bucs lose this one, I'm going to be picking against them for a couple next weeks until they can prove to me that they're actually a good team. Because they got the players, but do they have the skill? Broncos, Steelers. It's at Pittsburgh. You have to go with the Steelers in this game. There's no way the Steelers are losing this one. No way, Jose. Not happening. Not with Big Ben out there. Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know why people underestimated him. I really don't. They're like, oh, he's old, blah, blah, blah. He's not Tom Brady old, right? He's not Tom Brady old. At this point, I feel like Big Ben is better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady has a better supporting cast around him right now. Big Ben won his game last week, given it was against a a whole different opponent. It was against an opponent that was not that good, and again, he's playing against an opponent that's not that good, but he's playing at home against the Broncos. The Steelers scored a decent amount of points last week. I think they're going to do it again. I'm going to give them 28 points again. I'm going to give them 28 points. I say they go with 28-20. I don't think the Broncos are a good team, even with Drew Lock. They're going to find out that just because you switch up quarterbacks every single season doesn't mean you're going to get different results. It's not your quarterback, Broncos, okay? It's something else. The quarterback is not the issue. There's a whole lot of different issues on that team. And they're going to probably try to find a replacement for Drew Lock after this season, I guarantee. And it's not going to work either. Rams, Eagles. The Eagles are probably some garbage. To be able to lose to the Washington football team like they did last week, especially after putting 17 points up in the first half and actually just dominating in the first half and then finding a way to let the Washington, think about this, the Eagles let the Washington football team, a team that should be a dumpster fire, score 24 or how many unanswered points they scored last week. It was insane. The Eagles are trash. They are bad. They are not a good team. The Rams are an average team, but I still feel like the Rams will definitely beat the Eagles this week because the Eagles are so bad. They are not good. That being said, I don't think the Rams are going to score a whole lot of points. It's going to be a boring-ass game. Maybe even I'm going ahead. I might say 24-17 yet again. Yeah, I don't see the Eagles scoring more than 17 points after what I saw last week. The Washington football team is not a good team. They are not going to win a whole lot of games this year. The Rams are a much better team than the Washington football team. And you think the Eagles are going to win it? Nah. Okay, the Niners and the Jets. The Niners look like they're suffering from some Super Bowl hangover type shit. That's what they did last week. They lost to the Cardinals, a team that they should have beaten. But the Jets are the worst team in the NFL in my opinion. They're probably worse than... Here's why the Jets are worse than even teams like the Giants or Bengals. The Jets are worse than the Giants or Bengals because their offense has no playmakers. Literally none. The Bengals had A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold in my opinion. So far it looks to be. And the Jets are in the same situation as the Bengals. It's just that they have even less playmakers. So even if the Niners haven't quite warmed up yet, I still think the Niners are going to dominate the Jets. There's just no way. It's going to be insane. The Jets probably won't score more than 10 points. 13 at best. So the Niners could probably even just go ahead and win this game friggin' 23-13. And that I unironically believe that's what the score is going to be because the Niners have not hit the point that they were at last year. But I'll give it 23-13. It will probably be worse than that for the Jets, but we'll see. Bills at Dolphins. The Bills are better than the Dolphins. We know this. But are they going to score a whole lot of points? No. No, they're not. But are the Dolphins going to score points on the Bills? No, they're not. It's going to be a boring game. The AFC East is trash. It's just how it is. Again, I'm going to predict 23-13. Might be a lazy prediction. I'm going to the Bills 23-13. Might be a little bit lazy, but it is what it is. The Vikings are a lot better than the Colts. I'll tell you that. The Colts are some booty. Actually, garbage. Philip Rivers is not that good anymore. He's just not. Like, based on what we saw last week, the Vikings, dude, if the Vikings had played literally any other team besides the Packers last week, they probably would have won the game. The Vikings are a lot better than the Colts. I have to go with the Vikings on this one. Philip Rivers has lost his touch. He has lost his damn touch. It is sad, but it is true. It is sad, but it's true. I like Philip Rivers, but he's lost his touch. I'm going to go 27-24. I believe the Colts can put up 24 points on the Vikings. But I believe the Vikings will win the game. Easy. Packers, Lions. Packers are going to straight up dominate Lions. The Lions should have won last week. They didn't. Friggin' Mitch Trubisky threw 3 touchdowns on your defense last week in the fourth quarter alone. Aaron Rodgers is going to eat that up for breakfast. Aaron Rodgers is a much better quarterback than Mitch Trubisky. You can believe Aaron Rodgers is going to dominate those Detroit Lions this coming week. So my friends like to say the golf club is coming out this week. The golf club is coming out all season. The Packers are going to be a dangerous threat in the NFC this season. Based on what I saw last week, they're going to be. Right? If Aaron Rodgers continues to roll that way, you can forget about it. Aaron Rodgers will probably have a couple games where he's down. But he rode a very high last week. And he's going to ride another high this week. You can guarantee it. The Lions are they're a worse team than the Vikings. If Rodgers is able to dominate like he did last week against the Vikings, he's going to be able to dominate the same way. I don't care if Matt Stafford's in the game. It's over. It's at Lambeau. This will be like at least 34. At least 34 points for the Pack. And for the Lions, Packers defense ain't that great. So we're gonna give them 24. 34-24. Giants, Bears. Man. This is a matchup right here. I like this game a lot. I don't think the Giants are a good team. But I don't think the Bears are going to be able to do what they did last week. But at the same time, man, I'm going to have to pick the Bears because Khalil Mack is going to get after Daniel Jones. I do like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I believe, is a good quarterback. But when you have to deal with the horrible team that is the New York Giants, good Lord, man. It's like Joe Burrow, but... No. Daniel Jones is basically in the same situation as Joe Burrow, except for the fact that Daniel Jones has always been underhyped. No one liked the Daniel Jones pick when it happened. No one likes the Daniel Jones pick still. All the analysts want to say Daniel Jones is trash. I think Daniel Jones is a fine quarterback. Daniel Jones is alright. He's not bad, he's not good, he's decent. But it's going to take more than decent to allow the New York Giants to win against the Bears this weekend. The Bears are not that great of a team, by the way. Trubisky is not going to put up the same the same numbers. He ain't going to put up the same numbers he did last week for sure. That ain't happening. I'll give the Bears this one though, like 24-20. It's going to be close. I can tell it's going to be close. But the Giants ain't winning it, though. Man, I'm looking at this next game, and if you had told me the Washington football team and the Arizona Cardinals would end week 1-1 last week, I would have said you're crazy. I didn't think either of these teams were going to win last week, based on what we saw last year. But then again, at this point, I think the Arizona Cardinals are a much better team than the Washington football team. So I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals on this one. I said that the Eagles were going to end up being a better team than the Washington football team last week, but that didn't happen, did it? The Washington football team might be a little bit sneaky good this year, but I don't think they're going to get more than like 7 to 8 wins at maximum. I feel like compared to last year, the Washington football team is definitely a lot better. than they were last year. But I again do not believe that they are good. I believe the Arizona Cardinals are a good team, though. Kyler Murray is the real deal, and I believe he's better than Dwayne Haskins. Then he has better weapons. I'm going to have to give the Cardinals a good solid win here by at least like 10 to 13 points. I'm going to say they score 30 points on the Washington football team. Easily. I'm going to give them like a 30 to 24 or something like that. Because I believe the Washington football team has the capacity to score a lot more points than they did last season. But I also do not believe the Washington football team is a good team. At the same time, they're a lot better from last year, so I'll give them 24 against the Cardinals here, but I believe they're still going to lose the game 30 to 24. Chiefs and Chargers. Now, the Chargers might be one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL this year, but they got lucky last week because they ended up playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, another team in the dumpster fire of bad teams. But they ain't gonna be so lucky this week because they have to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Talk about flipping the script on them. The Chiefs are a way better team. They won the Super Bowl last year. They're a way better team than the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you think Tyrod Taylor's Chargers stand anywhere close to a chance to this Kansas City Chiefs team, I would have to say you are mistaken. That being said, I do not believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are as good of a team as they were last year. That being said, I actually do believe that the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they probably will score less points than they did last year, will still definitely beat the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost called them San Diego. By a lot. I don't think the Chargers putting up more than 13 points this game, but I do believe Kansas City's putting up 33 to 34. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the latter at 34. I'm going to say it's 34 to 10. It's going to be a blowout. This one goes to Kansas City. Ravens-Texans. I like this matchup a lot. I really do. I'm a big Ravens fan. I like this matchup for the Ravens. I'm going to say last year the Ravens dominated this matchup. Right, we didn't know what was going on with Lamar Jackson last year. We didn't know the real deal with him last year at all. And around the time that they played the Texans last year, they were trying to figure out what they still were. Now we know. Now we know what the Ravens are. Now we know who they are. Now we know who Lamar Jackson is. And I actually have a feeling that the Texans got worse than they were last season because they mistakenly traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals. That was probably one of the dumbest trades in the offseason this past offseason. I can't speak, apparently. But if last season is any indication on what we're going on, the Ravens are just going to end up winning this game. That's just going to be what happens, most likely, right? So you gotta think about it that way for a minute. That being said, I don't think the Texans are a bad team. They're just going to get off to a bad start because they had to play 2 tough teams at the very beginning of the season. Imagine that. Imagine being the NFL and saying, hey, Houston Texans, you're a pretty good team, but you have to play the Chiefs and the Ravens in Week 1 and Week 2. The NFL basically said, hey, Texans, here's this gun, please go shoot yourself with it. That's what they basically said to the Texans this start of the season. They're literally, the NFL scheduling teams literally pointed a gun at the Texans' legs and were like, we're going to shoot those kneecaps. We're going to shoot them. And it's not going to feel good for the first 2 weeks. But you'll come back, I swear. Once you get treated in the hospital, you're coming back. That's what's going to happen. The Texans are getting shot in the freaking kneecaps the first 2 weeks of the season. And then I don't know who they play next week, but they better be coming back. Because they're a good team that are going to start 0-2 most likely. And it's going to be a bad game for them too. It's not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. I'll give the Texans this, though. They should probably be able to do better than they did last season against the Ravens. Number one is at Houston this time. Number two, they're probably still just... It's not as late in the season, so they have less injuries and stuff. But I still feel like they're going to get beat. They're going to get beat. It's going to be a closer game. I'll even give the Texans like 24 points in this one, just to be nice. And then I'm going to say the Ravens, they definitely scored over 30 again, right? So, I'm going to make it 34 to 24. 10-point game, victory, Ravens. Boom, there you go. Next game. Patriots, Seahawks. You know the Seahawks are winning this one. You know the Seahawks are winning this one, man. Wait, it's like for the last few seasons, it has been like, not even the last few seasons, but for like the last couple of decades, it has been often that the Patriots have not been underdogs, but this is a game where they are definitely underdogs. Cam Newton's Patriots are not Tom Brady's Patriots. And anybody saying, oh, Cam Newton looked so great last week, I'll pull up some things for you. So the Patriots. Alright, Cam Newton looked good against the freaking Dolphins. He scored 21 points against the Dolphins. He scored 21 points against the same Dolphins that had a quarterback throw 3 interceptions last week. I don't care that he got 2 rushing touchdowns. These are Cam Newton's passing numbers last week against the Dolphins. I don't care he only threw 19 passes. I do not give a shit. It was the Dolphins. It was the damn Dolphins, and you barely beat them by 10 points. Against the quarterback and Ryan Fitzpatrick, who threw 3 interceptions. And you couldn't score more than 21. You know how many... You know what this means? This means you literally only... This tells me you score touchdowns. You score 3 touchdowns is the amount of times that Ryan Fitzpatrick threw interceptions last week. You scored the same amount of touchdowns as Ryan Fitzpatrick's interceptions. That is fucking abysmal. A team that throws 3 interceptions against you, and you only score 21 points. And you want me to believe that when you play Russell Wilson this week, that Russell Wilson is going to throw 3 interceptions against your team. It's not happening. It is straight up not going to happen. Russell Wilson is not Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know what else is not, you know what else does not add up? This defense is not the same defense you played against last week. It's not. It's a much better defense. Guess what, Patriots fans? Guess what? The time has come. The time has come for your team to get smacked. Y'all did okay last week, but you played the Dolphins. You played the Dolphins. This week, you're in Seattle. Not only are you playing against probably one of the best teams in the NFL, but you're gonna find out for freaking once what it is like to lose to one of the best teams in the NFL. As an average team. As a decent but not good team. As a team that will lose this week. And it feels so good to say the Patriots are most likely going to lose this week. If they don't lose this week, I will be very upset. I will personally be upset if they do not lose this week. But it will prove to me that Bill Belichick is the GOAT. Right? If you do not believe Bill Belichick is the GOAT yet, if the Patriots win this game, Bill Belichick, in my mind, becomes the GOAT. A lot of people already say, oh, he's already the GOAT. He's already the greatest coach of all time. But if Bill Belichick can pull off this win this week, with the odds stacked against the Patriots the way they are, he's the GOAT. People already call Tom Brady the GOAT, but they don't respect Bill Belichick the same way. Bill Belichick, if he wins this game this week with the team that he has, he's the GOAT. I think the Seahawks only need to score 24 points. They might even just score 24, right? But that's all they need to score. That's all they need to score. It could be 24-21, and that could all be it. In fact, that's what I'm going to predict. 24-21. Seahawks about to win. That's what it's about to be. 24-21. Seahawks win by 3 points. It might be worse than that, Patriots fans, just so you know. It might be worse. Saints Raiders. This is going to be a blowout. This is going to be an absolute freaking domination by the New Orleans Saints of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's all I got to say about that. Tom Brady scored 17 points against that team he scored 23 points, my bad. Tom Brady scored 23 points last week against that Saints team. You think Derek Carr's going to fare much better? Nah. Guess what, though? Drew Brees, against that Raiders defense, is putting up at least 30. I'm going to give the Saints 42 points this week. Hell yeah. 42-24. I'm giving the Raiders 24 points because I believe they're a good offense. Don't believe they're a good defense. They ain't a good defense. But I'll give them some points though. Y'all can catch 24 points, but you ain't scoring 42 like your opponent. You can get 24, but you ain't scoring 42. You're not doing that today. Exactly. That's the end of my picks right there. That's the end of my picks.